Hello everyone, this is Oscar from Oscar's Cozy Corner and a big welcome to the channel. It is in fact a fully fledged welcome and not a welcome back because this is in fact my very first video. So I started playing Dreamlight Valley a couple of months ago. I actually passed up on the opportunity to play when the game first came out when a friend recommended it to me because I just finished Animal Crossing at the time and I didn't really want to play another life sim. So I didn't actually start playing until December last year, and at that time I was playing on my iPad through Apple Arcade, so I didn't have access to the Star Path or any of the premium shop items. So I eventually started again earlier in the year when I bought the full version on my Mac, so I did a full game restart, and it's safe to say the past couple of months have been quite the grind trying to get resources, but I'm very happy with where I'm at in the game. I'm very happy with the state of the game. Uh, Even with all the bugs and the issues that it may be having, I feel like it's in a really positive place moving forward, and it seems like the developers and Gameloft themselves have a good idea and a good vision for the future of the game. So today I thought I would give you a tour of my plaza, what I built, why I've done it, and any tips and tricks that I might have for you to use in your own builds. If you do get to the end of the video and you do feel like liking, commenting, or subscribing, I would very much appreciate it, and I will show you my plaza. I've just actually rebuilt this from what I had previously, and I really wanted to go with a sort of Main Street USA theme park entry vibe, as if you're coming into the park for the first time and this is what you see. It's very much Magic Kingdom to me. It's kind of what I was going for, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I think that a lot of the buildings in the game lend themselves to this plaza-esque design, and obviously this biome is the perfect place for them. So I actually started with the Walt and Mickey statue and I built out the rest of the design from there. I think this is pretty much the integral centerpiece of my build. It's obviously from Magic Kingdom, even though it's not a fountain in the park, but I think it's really nice the way the developers have built this into a specific piece of furniture from just the statue. And then I've accessorized that with the water fountain tiles. So obviously it has the waterfall on the piece of furniture itself, but I've just added in those water tiles to bring some kinetic energy to the space. And I think it works really well. And it really is sort of, like I said, the centerpiece of the whole biome, because if you're coming up those steps on the peaceful meadow and you're looking at the castle with the wrought iron Mickey, it's a lovely picture, and it's actually what I'm using for the intro for the video, so I love this section. Just a note on paving, I feel like having the bordered paths in the game was a real upgrade, and even though I would really like to see curved paths and things like that, I think we do have a great range of textures and styles. But what I do to make it just a little bit more interesting is I will just delete single tiles to give myself a little inlet or some curved edges. You can see that I've done it around the statue here. I'll have inlays and pieces coming out, and it just breaks up that effect of having the borders on the edge of your path. So it really does just elevate it slightly and brings a bit more visual interest into the pathing areas. Down towards the front, I've left the area quite open. I've actually left most of the biome open. I don't like, personally, my biomes to be too crowded. I feel like they have their place. My glade is much more compact and I have a lot more foliage and plants and things like that. But specifically for this plaza, I wanted it to be structured and I didn't want it to feel too wild or anything like that. So I've actually kept a lot of items off the ground because I just wanted it to be sort of like paving and fencing and then things being in their place, which I think sums up the vibe that I'm going for with this. So I've put the little concessions carts either side of the steps because what I would really love in the future, and I know a couple of people have said this, is to have a traveling salesman in the game, somebody that comes to the valley perhaps once a week, and they sell exclusive items. So, you know, you could have 3 items for sale per week, and it would be quite easy, I think, for the devs to implement some exclusive premium shop quality items that only come around sort of once a week. Flanking either side of the build are the parks entries that we got in the premium shop a couple of months ago. Again, these have come straight from the parks, and I feel like the devs have done a great job at implementing them. I've seen a couple of great builds using these. People put them together or they make courtyards and things like that, and they they're quite versatile and they can be used in a lot of ways. But I've just used them as sort of like an exit path or an entry path to the biome. So if people were visiting, you know, for example, they would be leaving and entering from this way. Behind that, I've kept everything quite simple and empty. I like my paths to be easily accessible up to the different biomes, and I've done the same on both sides. So it's just paths, so not too many resources spawn here, and then I've just got clear access to run up and down. But I really wanted to create that walled in effect in the middle, so using the park entry this way helped add to that walled effect that I was going for. Moving on to where the buildings are, just before the buildings, I've added in just a small bench and the balloons. These balloons are some of my favorite things in the game. I love that we got these. They're such an iconic part of the parks, especially those double Mickey balloons. I always wanted those growing up, and I think just having them within Dreamlight Valley is such a nice touch. Moving up towards this left side of the plaza is where I have some of the functional buildings, apart from Mike and Sully's apartment. So I've got Daisy's boutique and Scrooge's store here. I've just accessorized Daisy's boutique with some of the Topiary Jubilee foliage, I think it's called, because there was nothing sort of outside of it. So I thought they were a nice touch just to make it feel a bit more welcoming. And then I've also put Sully's clay statue just outside, just in case you didn't know who lives there. And then finally for Scrooge, I wanted something to cover up these windows because obviously they're empty now that I've bought everything from the shop, but there was nothing that was quite working or didn't have the height, or I couldn't get close enough, especially because when you place these items, you can't place anything within one tile of that window. However, you can place something within one tile of that window. Lining up, no. Speaking of lining up, you can't have lining up paths either. So I wanted to give Scrooge a little gold entrance because I feel like he would appreciate that. But of course, with the tile structure and the grid structure, you just can't get things to line up in this game, which is okay. Not really. I am desperate for the devs to add in either half tiles or quarter tiles. I know that a lot of people would like just free movement, which I can get on board with, but for me, the structure does help a little bit. But if we could just get half tiles so I could line things up easier, that would make the world of difference. Now, this is sort of my functional area. I do have a section like this in every biome next to the well, so I think it's important when you're teleporting between biomes that you can access the things you need really quickly. So I've got a time bending table, which I just keep in the plaza, and then I have a crafting table, which I have in every biome. So that's just in case I need something for a quest, or I need to make a piece of furniture or some pathing or something like that. Then I will also have a vacuum from the DLC, which took me so long to save the mist up to be able to get a vacuum in each biome. They are a lifesaver because they just lift everything up off the ground that I don't want, and you can select what you don't want to be picked up. So if you did have like a flower display, you could just leave those flowers down, which is great. Next to that, I will have a chest in every biome. So I vacuum everything up and then I throw all the resources in a chest straight away, which makes cleaning the valley so much easier. Alongside those, honestly, I didn't know what to do with this area. So I was kind of inspired by the way the tracks run around the central part of Main Street USA as you go through the park's entry. So I've used Oswald's vehicles here. So I've used his trolley and his car. And I thought it was just like a spot, you know, if people were going to take selfies or something like that, it would be a nice place for them to just take a break and look at some interesting vehicles. Coming over to the right-hand side of the plaza now is sort of what I class as like my food area. I've got Remy's restaurant, I've got the confectionery house skin, and then obviously Remy's house just because it matches the restaurant. I did manage to get in the topiary in this build, which I was really pleased about because this is a great item in the game and it adds so much depth. And I also thought it would be nice for Remy to wake up and look out over a lovely structured topiary, make him feel like he's back in France. So we've also got Remy's restaurant outdoor seating here. I've used the lanterns because I kind of wanted to give this sort of like, I know it's kind of like a fantasy vibe, but I just feel like they work really well at night. So having these just hovering above the restaurant section only, I was toying with placing them elsewhere, but I feel like they just work right here over these two tables, and I think it looks great at night. But I've really built out this space with just the wrought iron furniture, and I also placed a harp here, which Donald looked as though he was playing the other day, so that was fun. And then I've got the statue that you can build from Remy's quests right in the middle, because I feel like that is just a nice touch in the middle of this eating area. And the final thing I just wanted to point out in this corner of the build is this confectionery house skin. I really love this. I feel like the devs did a great job. This is obviously from Magic Kingdom as well. It is a pretty good replica actually of the building that's on the corner of Main Street, and I love that it's another cornered building. So I really appreciate them giving us two cornered buildings to flush those streets out and really make it look as though they have a nice curved edge to them. This building also looks great at night, like all the lights on it, because of all the bulb lights, it just really brings it to life and adds some real sparkle to the plaza and the build. So I'm very happy that we got that. And if it does appear in the shop again, I would definitely recommend you getting it if you're looking to build out a Main Street USA style plaza. Look at Figaro there. So this is how my plaza looks at the moment. I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I've spent a couple of hours putting this together, and I feel like it just sort of came out exactly how I was hoping. I know it's not the most extravagant of builds and things like that, but I feel like it serves its purpose and it does what I intended it to do. So I'm really pleased with this build, and I hope that you like it as well. I will carry on walking around for a little bit, and you can take a look at what it looks like at night, because I feel like everything, especially this confectionery house skin, really pops. I hope you're okay, Sully. That was a slip, trip, and fall. And then if I bring us around to Remy's, you can see the lights, and it would just be really nice to have dinner under here, I think, don't you? Also, something I noticed was the way they've lit up the Remy statue, which I think is really nice. It's really soft lighting, but it just adds that like extra bit of depth to the item. So that is the end of my plaza tour, and with that comes the end of the video. We've obviously got a busy couple of weeks coming up in Dreamlight Valley with the arrival of Tiana and the closing of Act 3 for the DLC. I'm really looking forward to Tiana coming actually. I can't wait to get her a restaurant and the Star Path in tow, and of course she will be our first Black Villager. Rightly so, being our first Black Princess. Representation matters, thank you Gameloft. We definitely need more diverse faces in the valley, but I am very much looking forward to seeing what she brings. So with that being said, I will leave it there. If you found this video helpful, or perhaps you saw something that you might like or feel inspired by, then feel free to like, comment, or subscribe, or all of the above, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.